While others celebrate the wins,
Yes.
We celebrate the mud.
each episode has a special guest.
Tony-nominated actress, Broadway's Lily Cooper.
Tashir Zameda.
David A. Gregory.
Getting messy with muddy topics.
We are going to be talking about grief journey.
With hilarious moments
Now get over here.
And deep conversations.
I'm ashamed to even admit this, but this is what happened.
This is Into the Mud.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Mud podcast. While others celebrate the wins,
We celebrate the mud.
she's Alex Kumin. I'm Drew King. And
I'm
we're
Drew
coming to you
King.
live from the Mullen in the West Village. And today we have a very, very exciting guest on the podcast who's actually recently got a bunch of nominations for one of his plays.
Okay.
The incredible Douglas Lyons.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're so happy to have you on
So
here.
stoked to have you.
This is so delightful.
So cool.
Wait,
Okay,
let's start
so
with
we-
the awards.
Yes,
nominations.
Outer Critics, or was it Dramatist? Outer Critics
Outer Critics for Best Play and Best Supporting Actor.
for Table 17.
Table 17, a
Yes.
Lortel. We got 4 Lortel nominations.
Dude,
And a Drama League for Kara, yeah.
that is so
For
incredible.
people outside of the industry.
Yes,
These sound very important.
they are,
and I'm
incredibly
sure they are
and
important.
prestigious, Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about what you did and what the awards are for.
For sure. I wrote a play called Table 17. It was at MSCC Off-Broadway in
Okay.
August, September last year.
Mm.
And the show was about 2 exes that reunite for dinner after being together for 5 years, not talking for 2.
Ooh,
And then one calls the other for dinner and they show up in front of the audience. Wow. Have the dinner.
I love this.
Good luck. And do they get back together or not? I guess you have to watch the play.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh. Is there any rumblings of a remounting happening, or are you not allowed to
We
talk
are
about
headed
that?
to the Geffen in Los Angeles this fall.
Yes.
Congrats.
Amazing. That's so exciting.
Congrats.
Okay, so this is a thrilling conversation for us to be having right now because you are the epitome of our favorite 2025 word these days, multi-hyphenate. You're the actor, you're the writer, you are a teacher, you're also a composer and lyricist. So you're juggling like a million balls at the same time.
Many
balls,
balls.
hats, many balls,
So many
so many
balls.
balls, so many
Balls.
testes.
Yeah.
All at the same time. And interestingly enough, our topic of conversation for the day is learning how to break out of boxes that people are kind of sticking you in or cornering you in,
Yes.
or learning how to branch out and expand yourself
Yes.
other than the ways that people choose to force you into limited spaces. That was a really convoluted way of spelling out that topic, but
You did it.
you know what I mean.
I
You know
think
what I
you
mean.
did a great job.
So I kind of want to get a little bit of a sense of where you're at right now, because from our perspective, it sounds like, oh, you've branched out of all the boxes and you're nailing it.
Yes.
But where are you feeling muddy about that circumstance in this moment? What's your feeling?
The muddiness has been trying to organize my thoughts.
Okay.
Energy. Where to put the energy.
Right? Putting a massive pin in that one.
Right?
Okay.
And as an artist, like a professional artist now doing this for 20 years, you start going, so it used to be about the heart and what felt really good.
Yeah.
Like, that exciting thing. But now I'm like, where is the coin?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
And it sounds
Funny.
capitalistic to think that way.
No.
But we got to like,
Gotta eat.
how
Gotta
am I
sleep.
gonna
Yes.
how am I gonna pay this? Who gonna pay this rent? Who
Yeah.
gonna check me, boo? Somebody.
We
Yeah.
live in New York, goddamn
New York City.
It's expensive.
Mhm.
Really expensive.
So that's been part of it too, is like organizing my business for my art as much as my art.
Okay.
I'm really talking to my reps to be like, great, that's really interesting, but I can't prioritize that.
Yeah.
It has a check because I gotta figure
Yeah.
out my year.
It's interesting, this idea of like artists like the sellout, or like the prioritizing money over your craft, and it's like no. This is a thing that I've put all of my effort, heart, and soul into, and like I deserve to be fucking compensated for it.
Fed and
Yes.
taken care of. And
Fed.
this idea
Yes.
that you have to struggle to be an artist, I think is BS.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point as an adult, I don't want to struggle.
Yes.
I want to be winning.
No.
I just don't think that this point in my life I'm meant to. Did you? White Lotus.
Hop or no?
Hop or no? You want to live in Taiwan?
I wish that the arts were subsidized somehow or paid for, like that we could get some sort of a stipend as an artist or as a creative in the United States, which they have in what I believe like Sweden, maybe Switzerland. There's some Nordic country.
London has a little bit of
Force
okay.
the Nordic countries.
Is it like a tax credit you get or something
It's
like
something
that?
there's governmental funding and support for work over there.
Wasn't that
There should
after
be.
the Great Depression? Wasn't there or didn't FDR subsidize arts?
I did not know that,
Yeah, it
but
was
that
like,
would be great.
like to have like murals be put up and sculptures after
Oh, yeah, I guess
like
so.
I'm
Yeah.
there's something ticking in my mind that because it's like you think about like we need art. We
Yes.
fucking need art.
But art so often, especially in the field of entertainment that we're in, we're not compensated. Like, I don't know if you can elaborate on this, but like, for instance, you wrote like a very, very, very successful play, Chicken and Biscuits, which has been produced like for 4 years now, like kind of nationwide.
Like 40 productions since.
Yeah. Is that like, you would think as an outsider, if you're not in the business, you're like, oh, they wrote this play and it's getting licensed all over the country. Everyone's doing it. That you're like, wow, like you're rolling in the dough. But I feel like that's actually not the case, correct?
We took a role. There was one role.
One roll.
We're not rolling.
Okay.
One good role.
One good
It
role.
was one
Okay.
roll.
Good role.
It was a good role.
And like for
We're not gerunding.
Yes, for licensing, you get an advance typically.
Yeah.
So that was a blessing for that.
Okay.
play.
Okay.
And then it has to recoup. I'll say it's over half recouped already in the 4
Okay.
years, which is a blessing.
Yeah.
So there is a way. I just think artists don't think of our work as a business because we're so
Interesting.
emotional. It's
Yeah.
like, pick me. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, pick me, but also pay me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that a recent shift for you, or what was that shift like, or has it always been like that?
I'm gonna just be real because I'm always
Please,
real.
please. We
So,
want it.
Yes.
I've done 3 Broadway shows.
Okay.
It's been a gift. And my second Broadway show, which was beautiful, the Carole King musical, I had been writing music, but I had not like tapped into script yet. I was too afraid to fail.
Mm-hmm.
I got wind of the box office collaborators like percentage per week.
Mm.
Do y'all know what that is? Typically,
No.
Beautiful. It was probably.
What does that wait? What
Across
does that mean? What does
Okay,
that mean?
So across the board, and these were the figures then, it's between 4.5 and 6% that the book writer, lyricist, and composer split. So you're getting 6% of the weekly gross. So let's say any show makes $1 million. That week, weekly, that composer is getting 20,000. That lyricist is getting 20,000. That book writer is getting 20,000. And there's different waterfall like moments of like when it recoups and how things bump up, etc.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I'm being paid $2,500 and my ankles are doing a locomotion, and these people are on the beach
Getting $20,000 a
getting
week.
$20,000 a week
Yeah.
from work that they earned.
Yes.
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 Let me earn my work.
Yeah.
Let me play.
Yeah.
Let me figure it out. And
Mhm.
so while I was doing Beautiful, I really started tapping into book writing and playwriting. That's when Chicken and Biscuits was written, and Bo the Musical, which is going up off Broadway this summer,
Mhm.
was written. I was like, I got to expand. I got to invest in myself
Yeah.
because I can't just do this physically and like maintain it.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I think we've had many conversations, Drew and I, about loving the work, and being truly physically too exhausted to be continuing to like doing X amount of shows per week with how little we get paid for it.
Yeah.
It's like, what's the longitudinal answer here? Like, what's the solution? And again, not like I will happily put in the work. I will happily do it. But what's the work that's going to give me the most bang for my buck?
Yes.
And I want to talk about, you said I wasn't writing because I was afraid. What were you afraid of?
Failure.
Yeah, afraid of
wow.
failure. Yes.
Not want to be an actor who turned playwright who wrote crappy things.
Mm.
Like not.
Mm.
So Polka Dots the Cool Kids musical, which Melvin Tunstall III, who was the swing in Beautiful, who sat behind me, he wrote the book for it. I came up with the concept.
Oh my God.
But I was like, hey, you wrote this amazing musical, Bloom. You write script. I don't. Can you write this? Because I was writing
Yeah.
music and lyrics. And he did, and it like took off and has been done all around the world. But I was afraid. And then I went to a funeral, my uncle's funeral, and came back and was like, that was really dramatic. I got to write. And that's when Chicken and Biscuits sort of started. So it was an experiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was an experiment.
Okay.
A
And
very successful experiment.
Very successful experiment.
But
was
it took
navigating that. Yeah, I want to know more about navigating that
The fear.
fear place.
Well, so I typically develop 10 pages at a time. So I wrote the first 10 pages, and I was in residence at the director's company,
Okay.
where I had worked as an actor right out of college. And I reached out to Leah Mikolas, and she was like, oh, I see on Facebook that you're writing now. You can have a residency. I can't pay you, but I can give you space.
Okay.
So I would meet in a black box before showtime and read 10 pages and hear it, and then 20 pages, and that's how it was built. And I met the great Jalen Livingston, Katz the Jellicle Ball, etc. And we, workshopped that play until it was done at the Queen's Theater and then transferred to Broadway. But initially, I was like, I don't want it to be bad.
Yeah.
And when you're uncomfortable because you're in new waters?
Yeah.
Hi.
That was me.
Hi.
That was me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing happened when I got into acting, which was like around 17.
Uh-huh.
I eventually booked the Rent National Tour after 6 auditions. But my first audition was an open call in the city, and I was shaking.
Yeah.
And I sang, and he was like, breathe. I'm going to give you the callback materials because you can do this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And 2 years later, I booked the show.
Wow.
But I was just as afraid then as I was when I started
But
writing.
I also love that 2 years later you booked the
2
show.
years later. It's like 6 auditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different states.
This is the part that we always leave out.
I
You know?
don't.
Not, but like, that's why we do this. That's like what the whole
Yeah.
point of this podcast is like, it's not always success on the first try. Most of the
Rarely
time, it's
ever,
not success
rarely ever.
on the first try.
Is this? When did you choose that you could step outside of other boxes? Like, what was your? What did you first come to? Did you first come to like
First
writing
composing.
music?
It was
Okay,
first
composing.
Um,
And when did you start that?
that was on the Book of Mormon national tour. I was working with Ethan Packchild.
Okay,
I
great.
did the Broadway company. I
Yep.
joined the original Broadway company, and then I went on the first national.
Great.
And on that tour, the guitarist Ethan, I was like, hey, man, my parents had got me a guitar. I still can't play it. But I was like, you do. And I sing top line, which is melody and pop
Yeah.
music. And I was like, let's try it. And so I fundraised a live album that we did at the Cutting Room with a bunch of Broadway stars.
Great.
And that was our calling card. And then I reached out to every major composer on Broadway at the time. I went to their contact info and looked up their agency and invited them all. And William Morris Endeavor came to the first one and then to our second concert in the spring, and someone signed us from that.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's incredible.
I love hearing too, because you've gotten really creative with A, doing the work, but also B, advertising yourself.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of like where I feel stuck right now is I'm like, I'm doing the work. I've had this like revelation last week where for a couple of years, I've been like, I guess I'm just, if it hasn't happened in the way I've thought it would by now, then that just means I'm not creative enough, or I don't have enough, or I don't write enough, or I am not enough, period. Right.
Yep. Yep.
And then I was sitting and the other day and going through like old tapes and old material, and I found probably like 15 clips worth of stand-up that I just hadn't put out, hadn't even thought about. And I was like, wait a minute, you're just sitting on material and jokes that you just haven't released yet for whatever reason. Same with writing, same with all this stuff that it's like everything is in front of you.
Mhm.
You just haven't done the business part of it yet. And do the business part.
because it is the hustle.
Yeah.
It's the work.
Yeah.
And like there's this quote of Will Smith where he was talking about, he was like, there are better actors than me, but no one will hustle harder than me.
Yeah.
And I brought that to my theater and TV and film career.
Yeah.
Like, I will email a producer, I will slide into their DMs and say, hey, I want to invite you to this thing. What's the worst that could happen? They say no, they don't show up.
Yeah.
But that's how we got signed.
Wow.
I've been with WME now for 11 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That reminds me of, I've sent you this quote. It's like this Liz Moody quote about like, never be the person to tell yourself no. Let everyone else tell you no.
That part.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's hard.
Don't cut yourself.
Don't cut yourself. Like, and I've talked to my brother about this too. He's in commercial real estate, but he was like, my goal is to get as many rejections as possible. Like I'm like, I want to hear no, because that's the more no's that I get, the higher chance I have of getting a yes.
Yeah.
As someone, we just had a whole chat about rejection, and it's like you just got to build up that tolerance for it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I operate from a place of try and expect nothing, but do your work, and that's the only thing you can control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I've
Yeah.
been living in that space lately of just like, great. It took me 10 years. So Polka Dots, the show we wrote during Beautiful, I just came back from a puppetry version in Indiana that I've been trying to make happen. And it was like, no, or couldn't get the funding, and it's finally happening. It took 10 years.
Yeah.
But I was going to make it happen. It's like my father's always like, Douglas, it's not a no, it's just when.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen.
I like that.
He speaks in like affirmation that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That on.
Do you find yourself, this is something I talk about in therapy often, and I journal about way too much. I feel like, how did you find the courage to step away from one lane of creativity into another, having succeeded at such a high level in your first? So like, say you're in a Broadway show, you're in the Book of Mormon, that's a smash hit. Like, I guess I struggle with this idea of elitism, shall I say, being like, oh, well, if I'm I'm in a Broadway show and you're getting accolades from everyone because you're part of this elite thing and you're at the top of your field as a performer, but then now if you're stepping out and you're writing, it's like, well, if I'm going to be a writer, I have to have the Tony Award. If I'm going to be a chef, I have to be a James Beard Award winning chef. It's like carrying on this idea of elitism. So how do you challenge that as a creative to allow yourself to branch out into other avenues and step into different boxes without needing to be perfect and elite and exceptional, because that can truly hold you back, as it holds me back significantly.
Yeah, going back to the business, so you use one to pad the other. So one of our first producers for our musical theater writing work, I found, was a co-producer on Beautiful, and I met her at the opening night party.
Oh,
Because those parties are time to boogie, but it's also time for business. That's where deals are made.
Yeah.
wow.
You know what I mean?
All about relationships,
I meet people and I'm like, hey, yes, I'm in this. And also I'm writing this thing. You should check it out.
Good for you.
And that turned into being enhanced out of town for a world premiere musical. So you don't have this idea that you have to abandon one to do the other is BS. Actually use what you've
Interesting.
learned
Yeah.
in that space, connectivity wise, to go, hey, I'm also doing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that coin
Uh-huh.
and expand.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's been my formula every time.
Expand. I love that word, expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I definitely, I have to rewire my brain with that. Like, I think it's, I'm leaving musical theater and now I'm a podcaster, or I'm leaving musical theater and now I'm going to be a writer. And my therapist would always say to me, he was like, why can't you just do it all? Like, expand into all of it instead of thinking. And I think maybe I was brainwashed by the idea of like, one of the questions I threw in there is like being an expert at one thing, as opposed to there's that phrase that you're either, what is it, like you're
Jack of all trades or master of none.
yeah, master of none. Exactly. Like this idea that you have to like be exceptional at only one thing. And even growing up in musical theater, it's the like, if you want to be on Broadway, you have to be laser focused on this one goal and just like get there and do that one thing. So I feel like I've been brainwashed and thinking that like, if I'm not putting 110% effort into this one strict specific thing, I'm going to fail everywhere else.
The issue though is that you can do that and the industry cannot be ready for you. And then what?
Yeah.
There are talented people I graduated with who are so fierce,
Yeah.
and it just wasn't their time for whatever reason. And it took like one of them like 6 years to get to Broadway.
Yeah.
It took me, I mean, I had booked my first or second national tour right out of graduation. It was different for everyone.
Yeah.
But what are you doing in the meantime if the industry doesn't get you?
Yeah.
And that's up to you.
Yeah.
You know, and I think right now with the condensing and the contractions of Hollywood and Broadway and this movement of celebrity coming in and stuff, but how can you build yourself and not, because you might not get the call. It doesn't mean you're not great.
Yeah.
So how do you get smarter so that people see you in your fullness? That's been my tactic, because you can wait a whole decade and never be discovered. And then what? I
Yeah.
don't mean you ain't great. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So let them be in their thing.
This
but-
is exactly what you needed to hear.
This is,
yeah.
my God.
Oh, I don't play around.
This is going to be my new morning alarm. Oh,
I love it.
okay. Okay.
Yeah. Some of
All right. I feel really good about Let's, you know what? Wrap it up. I got some work to do.
Wrap it up.
I got some.
It's so much about
I
time.
love it. I love it.
Sorry. Let me just give me a second.
No, take it in. Take it in.
I'm taking it in.
Breathe it.
Do you want to put a pin in it?
No, yeah, I want to
You
put
got
it
it.
in that. No, okay, because there was another thing I want to talk. There's a thousand things I want to talk to you about. You're my new therapist. Something you brought up at the beginning that we just circled back to was the idea of when you do many things, where to focus your energy and attention. And I think particularly for someone who has succeeded in so many different areas and so many different boxes, something I've noticed I struggle with is every time I go to sit down to do one thing, back of my mind's like, but you should be doing this other thing, and it pulls my focus and spreads it too thin rather than just. And I haven't figured out a system that works for me yet. So what, in terms of like when you're doing many different things, so you're composing, you're writing, you're acting, like how do you figure out where to place your energy and attention in the best way for you?
Well, it's based on deadlines and schedule. So I was talking to my boyfriend about this yesterday. Since January 1 and now, I was in Los Angeles putting up a play called Don't Touch My Hair. So I did a polish and rewrite for that. We rehearsed and performed that for 5 weeks. I then got a call that they were ordering the movie of Big River, which I'm adapting. So I was like,
so fucking
I'm going to
exciting.
write this movie. But I also got the call that Bo was going off-Broadway. And neither of those were in the plan for the spring. And I had this other play, Pure Glitter, getting a workshop. And so it became tight scheduling. And I have been stressed. I'm going to be honest here that I've been in my room, waking up every day. But I was like, great. If I can knock out Pure Glitter, that's behind me. If I can finish Big River before Bo starts rehearsal, which I did last weekend, I went out to Fire Island through a producer friend and worked really hard, and then gave myself, when I finished, I was on the beach for 3 hours. I was just like, thank God I got through this.
Yeah.
So it's being very diligent, but also creating your own schedule and sticking to it, knowing what you have coming up, because things pop up and I get calls for random things and I'm like, okay. And we've said no. I also have said no to things because I'm like, and I didn't think about this in the beginning, but my agent is like, are you being compensated well? And how will that support you? As a playwright, you don't get health insurance. There's no union for that. So I worked on Fraggle Rock for 2 seasons, and this Big River thing is a film. So I'm going to get health insurance.
Thank God.
So mentally, I'm like, well, that's where the energy,
So that's
priority
where the focus is going.
I listen to that too, because I want to survive. I don't want to struggle. And then also
Thrive,
factoring in
by the way. Not survive. Thrive.
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 Yes. I want to thrive, and I don't want to struggle. So it's a bit of priority with how I'm going to pay rent, and then also schedule. You know, what's a priority? What is happening?
Yeah.
You know, immediately. Yeah. Wow. Become very organized that way,
That's great.
so I don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Have you always been good at scheduling? Is that something because I feel like I'm really bad at scheduling.
Scheduling, yes. Being on time, no.
Okay.
As I've gotten older, now I'm like, nope, we not gonna be late. CP time is not Douglas Lyons time. We're not gonna be late. We're not doing that today.
Yep.
And you were on time today.
I was very on
You
time.
were very early.
It's not gonna get me.
Yeah.
So no, but time management has been a thing. My mother was very good about that. And I know I'm like, also the MTA app, the time app for the trains. 85% of the time they're good. Like, you know, so that has been helpful. I didn't know that existed till like a year or two ago. And I was like, oh, I know when the train's coming.
Can time this.
8 minutes to
time
get there.
this.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got to start incorporating that into my.
Yeah. I get out of the shower. I'm like, great. It says you have 10 minutes. You might have 8. You need to leave in 2.
Yeah.
Exactly.
6 minutes.
Go.
There.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm curious, was there ever anybody in your life growing up that kind of signaled to you or gave you the permission that you could do multiple things? Because I know we come from a generation of parents who did one thing and that's it. So was there what was the first indicator that you had license to expand and do more things?
My parents.
Your parents, okay. What do they do?
Okay. So my mother is a gym teacher, former gym teacher and now pastor.
Amazing.
And my father was a psychologist and then turned entrepreneur with a travel business.
Okay.
And also he was a basketball coach. I played sports as well. That's a whole nother chapter.
Okay.
I've done
Sports.
everything.
You've done everything.
So I played soccer, tennis, baseball, basketball.
Wow.
I did dancing school. I taught dance, drama. Yeah. So they had me doing everything.
Yeah.
For me to figure out what I wanted to do from a very, very young time in my childhood. Yeah.
So they were allowing you to like dip into different pots and try
Yes.
different things, and they gave you permission to do that.
Yes.
It's a great way to parent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
great
that's
way.
I think that's the way to do it. Here's the buffet.
Yeah.
What do you
Yeah.
what do you like?
What
What
speaks
do
to
you
you?
keep coming back to?
Yeah. And I found theater very late. So
Really?
I was like, I was not. Yeah. So I went to a science and business high school. It was
Okay.
a magnet school.
Okay.
And an English teacher came my 11th grade year and started a theater program.
Oh my
That was my
gosh.
first real exposure. I'd been to the
Yeah.
theater,
Yeah.
but my senior year was my first play, one and only play.
What was it?
West Side Story. I played Tony.
Oh, Tony.
Riffed her down.
Big T.
I bet you did.
I riffed her down.
Oh my God.
All the Jets were black and all the Sharks were Latino because of our school makeup.
I love it. That's so much better than where I came from
Wow.
and everybody was white. Just a white Maria, a white shark. Everyone was white.
It's Mary. It's Mary.
Mary.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, but I started very
Irish
late.
Catholic.
Speak the
yeah.
language.
Oh my God. LOL. Okay, and then who within the business do you feel, or anyone in the entertainment industry, was either someone you looked up to that was doing multiple things, or was there someone that was a mentor of yours that kind of said, hey, I think you actually would be great working on these things. I think you should expand and try these other areas.
I'm going to tell you a conversation that happened in the beautiful dressing room.
Please.
Shout out to the beautiful boys
Yeah.
dressing room because we had a lot of conversation. So we used to call it The View because we talked about everything under the sun in
Okay.
that dressing room.
Yes.
Because the show lasted for 6 years and I opened it and came in and out for 4.5 of them. But one day, Daniel Torres, we were talking about models because as a Black performer and artist in this industry, there aren't a lot of multi-hyphenates that have been allowed to live in their fullness.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Right?
Mm.
And I
Absolutely.
was lamenting about being frustrated about that.
Mhm.
I was like, I don't have anyone grabbing me and ushering me through doors. And he said, did you stop to think that maybe you're that person?
Ah,
And I was like,
I love that.
okay, girl.
That's my second alarm.
And I was like, oh, didn't think about it that way.
Yeah.
And that actually gave me permission to think out of the box.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. It will be lonely. People won't get it. I mean, in the very beginning, it was like, oh, he's a writer. Sure.
Yeah.
Turned into, why don't you cast me in your things?
Mm.
Hello.
Side eye, honey.
You got to watch
Side
what you
eye.
say to people. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? But that conversation was a turning point mentally for me where I was like, oh, you might have to forge your own path, and that's okay.
That's
After-
wonderful.
How soon after that conversation did you start applying that knowledge to your life? Was it like wake up the next day, what was the transformation after that conversation happened? Like how long did that take for you to really start like putting that into practice?
Well, it ranges. So like in theater, a writer is a writer.
Yes.
The box is like, you're the writer, babe.
Yes.
Some producers are like, let us do what we do.
Yep.
You do what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
In Hollywood, when you create a show, you're automatically an EP on it. So you have more say so. So I'm developing a TV show right now with Ryan Reynolds' company, Maximum Effort. And I'm on calls not only about the script, but talent attachment. Like,
Yeah.
where there's, you have a lot more power.
Mhm.
And that's something I think I learned, which is why I've been expanding towards Hollywood a little bit more too, is because
Right.
I don't just write the play and then get calls about when it's being put up.
Yeah.
I'm a part of every step.
Yeah.
So it's been a gradual understanding of self and power. And actually, no, you're allowed to be, badass.
Yeah.
Douglas, be that.
Yes.
Own that.
Own that.
Own that.
Absolutely.
That was my mushroom trip. we recorded an episode on psychedelics 2 hours ago, and
You coming down or are you still there?
but I was talking about like how I saw images of myself in this next chapter of that mindset of
Yep.
like, stop playing small, stop telling yourself what you can't do, like
Yeah.
step into the the roar kind of thing. Like, just go for it.
We die at the end of this.
Yeah.
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 I've seen this clip on, and I retweeted a couple times on Instagram, but this woman, she's like, we die at the end of this. So fuck them. If someone's not treating you well, fuck them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? You're
Yeah.
right. You're right.
Yeah.
You want to act weird and shady? Bye, girl. We die. I need to be happy.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's really changed. I'm like, if there's friction here, this weird energy, I'm going to let you go, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to root for my people. They're going to root for me. And
Yeah.
we're going to win.
Douglas, I love everything you're saying. It's like shaking up my brain right now too, because I often live in fear and like of, I don't know, I'm not going to do it right. I'm not going to get it right. I'm such a fucking perfectionist, as Alex knows.
I don't know what you're talking
Crazy
about.
bullshit things. But like, but the idea of like, it's a fear of mine, I think.
Yeah.
It's fear of failure. It's fear of rejection, of people being like, oh, he thinks he's a writer. Oh, he thinks he's a blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's that fear consumes me often. So what is your advice for people who are similar to me, that are in that struggle of being like, I want to have many boxes and do a million different things and expand, but I'm afraid to do so either because of insecurity or fear of failure and rejection. What would you say?
You will be bad at first.
Yeah.
Weren't we all?
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
babies crawling and falling on our faces as we try to walk and run.
Mm.
So, you know, it takes development. It takes failure. Find your tribe, fail in front of them, and be okay with that. And also, what is your personal goal in the industry? So mine has changed.
Yeah. I want to, what is it?
During Chicken, it was like, Tony's, Broadway, not nary a nomination for nothing that whole season,
Yeah.
but we did get a GLAAD nomination. And I was like, you cannot marker your success off accolades. It has to be about the work.
Yeah.
And so now I actually take some of my new work out of town to communities that appreciate it first, because it may never be produced here.
Mm.
And I, as a business person, am getting checks off, you know, the kicker from it being, I have a play called Pure Glitter. It's going up at Uptown Players in Dallas. And then Second
it about?
Generation. 10-year anniversary party for a queer couple where there's a lot of glass and gossip and bubbles on the floor by the end of the night.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Sounds juicy.
Ooh.
Lots
What a hook.
of, it's like, why do we lie to our friends if we claim to love them?
Ooh.
The secrets we bring into a room, even with people that we're really close to,
Mm.
and what happens when you have to reveal them.
Okay.
Pure Glitter, yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it's a comedy.
I want to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's really fun. But I took that play out of the city, and now it's
Yeah.
being produced. And
Great.
I'm able to survive a little bit more because
Yeah.
that money's coming in. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still just get, even in the midst of acknowledging that I'm going to be bad or I'm going to fail or it's not all going to work out, I still get, I don't know, I get so like scared.
I totally feel that. I think I'm starting to unpack my own stuff around that and figure out my own way through it. And what I've found is it's little steps towards that fear. So it's not like, I'm not like, all right, well, I'm gonna do a brand new hour at the Comedy Cell. Like that's not the first step.
Yeah.
The first step is, you want a bigger social media following? That's how. Is that what you want?
And you
know.
got to create your platform.
Yeah.
I think we have so much power through a casting office. And
Mhm.
it's like, actually, you are the talent at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you need a barrier to entry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Create your own platform and just start your own stuff.
Yeah.
You know, make your own name.
Yeah.
And I've been settling more into like being myself, right? Which I think up until very recently was not a concept I really understood. People would just be yourself. And I'm like, I think I'm still a little confused on who that is.
Yeah.
And I've been really like digging in, just paying more attention to everything in my life. What's the music that I like? What are the colors that I like? What food do I like? What lights me up? Who lights me up? Keep just taking steps towards the stuff that makes you feel expansive. Figure out exactly who you are and then let other people in.
Yeah.
Or let people in as you are doing that. Because we're fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
And sometimes you don't know the part of you that's sparkling.
Yeah.
I think it was the Book of Mormon, my callback, and Carrie Gardner, the casting director, she's like, "You're funny, you know that, right?" And I was like,
No, I didn't know that.
I didn't. And like I'm like, oh, that's when I started sort of thinking about comedy too as a writer.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, your silliness with your friends actually reads to an audience if you put it on the page.
Yeah.
So look in the mirror and ask yourself, what makes me me, and use that in every space.
Yeah.
Every space you walk into. It's changed because then I don't have to put on.
Yes.
I'm gonna be silly when I'm talking to these white executives on the Zoom.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I'm in this black rehearsal room, I'm the same person.
Yeah.
Hi, y'all. What's up? You like it
Yeah.
if you don't. Peace.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
is so huge. Bringing the same self to every room rather than contorting to what do you want? What do you guys want? It's actually not about what you want. It's about who I am.
Because your authenticity and who you are as an authentic human being is what makes people drawn to you and
That's
is
the
what
light.
is excited. That's the light.
That
I
is the
love
light.
that.
And I can feel it every time if I'm in a show, if I'm in front of an audience that isn't an audience that I want to be in front of, whatever that word might mean, you know, I can feel my spark diminishing. I can feel, I hear it, like I just feel it kind of going down because I'm like, I'm not being myself right now. Because when I'm myself, I'll light it up.
Yeah.
It lights
We'll
up.
light it up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think the quest is like, so figure out who you are and figure out what your light is and figure out how to keep that light turned up to 10.
I think that's like primarily what my current break or departure from musical theater has been based in, was that so much of musical theater and Broadway felt like I was being pigeonholed into this one thing. Like even when I broke up with my agents, they were like, you're a tap dancing song and dance man. And I was like, I don't want to be a tap dancing song and dance man. I was like, I would love to do some more film and TV. I'd love to be writing. I'd love to be hosting more and doing these things. And then it wasn't until I had a hosting gig and all I needed to do was simply show up and be myself in front of the camera. And then I was like, oh, this is fucking fun. I get to be me. I don't have to be the muscly chorus boy or the fun tap dancing dude over there. Like I didn't have to be anything that the industry was telling me I had to be. It was like once, I don't know, even like in this space and being able to create our own thing and have autonomy over what we want to say. And it's fun. Every time people come in, they're like, oh my God, can we swear? And we're like, say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
It's so liberating to be in a space where we can do and say what we want to do as our authentic selves, not because someone else is telling us we have to do it a certain way, which is what I feel like you've been doing with most of your career. Is you're saying like, I want to step out and I want to do this other thing. What's your advice for other performers or people and not even performers, people in other careers that might want a career pivot or might want to step out and want to, or take autonomy over their own path? What would you say to them?
That silly, scary thing that you're like afraid of being embarrassed by may be the key that unlocks your next chapter in life. Writing, I was writing music in 2013. I didn't write script till 2017. If I had had that belief 4 years earlier, also, I really believe in fate a little. I was up for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Motown, Kinky Boots, and Ain't Too Proud, all during Beautiful. If I had booked those jobs, I would not have written Chicken and Biscuits.
Yeah.
So at that time, I was like, oh, I remember crying. Ain't Too Proud was 6 callbacks, going back to Brent. 6 callbacks, one of which was on a 2-show day.
Yeah.
On a Saturday morning.
Yep.
And that Tuesday, some of the guys got the show. I didn't get the show. And I remember crying, feeling embarrassed. But what I could not see is that this play I was writing was going to change my entire life.
Yeah.
Rejection is redirection.
That part.
It is. There's literally
Like-
there's 3 shows on Broadway right now that I was in final callbacks for. 2 of which I worked on in like pre-production and like pre-developmental stuff, and I didn't get cast in any of them. And I was like crushed and devastated about it. But now on the flip side, like I'm so happy to be walking down the street, rolling this suitcase and these lights and these cameras and these microphones to come here and do this, because I feel like if I was cooped up in a Broadway show or like, you know, doing Good Morning America and all these other things, like I wouldn't be doing this. We wouldn't be have time for this. So
Also,
I'm like,
the difference is this is yours.
and it's
Yes.
You're
it's
an
ours.
employee.
Ours.
Yes.
For a show. You are an employee of someone's show. When that show ends,
Yeah.
you're unemployed, but you will always own this. I will always own the page.
Yeah.
And I think artists can do both. You can be in that show, but also what is that thing that is yours? And if we all seek that and we use each other to build that, we'll have a generation of magical artists. I really believe that. It's changed my life. I mean, Jalen and I sort of started together.
Yeah.
And now, like, seeing his rise, I am so hyped.
Wow.
And I'm also, like, having my own. I'm like, we met at a Britain, in the Sting concert on a couch. And I was like, I'm working on this play. He's like, I'm a director. I was like, okay, great. And then we were on Broadway like 3-4 years later. Anything is possible, but you have to think outside of what you're given to find that possibility.
And you have to be, I'm having a mindset shift lately that's been so helpful is assuming the positive, assuming that it will work out.
Yes. Yeah.
Counting on the fact that the universe is on my side, right? Yes, of course this is going to unfold. Of course you're creative. Of course you're prolific.
Yes.
Because that other way of thinking just absolutely
crushes you.
The world tells you you are not great.
Yeah.
So if you believe them, they win.
Yes.
And then you never get off the couch.
Yeah.
Ooh.
You don't get off the couch.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, and I love this different, like, we talked a little bit before we started rolling here about, like, having these, like, different, everyone wants you in one box. Everyone wants you in one thing so they can categorize you, right?
It's also more economical for them. It's like if a casting director can know that they can cast you in the same role every single time,
Right.
you'll always show up and you always do the job well. It's like it makes it easier financially for them as well. Like
Yeah.
But
it's
you're
like-
not growing or challenging yourself
Right.
no.
because you haven't really tapped into all of your potential.
Right.
And I love people being employed, but also what happens when you get older and you don't fit that box anymore. You're not the
Yes.
twink with the tap shoes. And
Girl.
there's new twinks with the tap shoes coming out at CCM, honey. What you gonna
I
do?
said that to my agent. I was like, that guy and that guy and that guy who you want me to be like, they've aged out of that now. And what are they doing now? Because they banked their whole career on just being that song and dance man. And they're not doing anything right now.
Yeah.
I hope that they do, and I hope that they reinvent and switch to something different. But I felt that way, that I was like, there's a timestamp on being that one strict thing.
Yeah.
Like I everyone in the business knows me as a dancer, but I'm 38. I don't want to touch my toes anymore. Like, I don't know. It's like, yeah. I mean, oh, honey, I do want to touch my toes.
I thought about it, but I was
Honey.
like, we are just meeting. I am.
We had a whole
I was
conversation
on
about
that.
caveman
Not
tops
last
and
night.
bottoms. Okay, Eagle.
Get it in. Was it Wednesday? What's
Logo
yesterday?
reference.
Oh, yeah. Get it. That's
Oh my god, so silly.
I think no, just this. Oh, what we had talked about before. I remember when we first started this podcast and we started releasing episodes, and I had a lot of people be like, "Oh, this isn't comedy. Like you're a comedian.
Mhm.
Like, Ben, this isn't comedy. So like, what are you doing?"
Yeah.
And it's like, I think where I've been struggling is like, oh, do people only come to me for comedy? Like, is that the thing? Like, and then as of late being like, no. And like, I can be the serious and I can be the funny. And that's actually exactly who I am.
Yeah.
There's a lot of serious behind the funny. That's actually where the funny comes from.
It has to. It's
That's where the
balance.
funny comes from.
Yeah.
And so, did you ever brush up against people being like, I mean, it's kind of, we've talked a little bit about this today already, but like, what do you say or how do you deal with when people try and just shove you into one box?
So this is the other thing. I think sometimes our agents
Mhm.
also try to do that. And I've had friends who have hit a certain level in their career who end up turning down the understudy or the standby because they should
Yeah.
only be the principal.
Yeah.
Huge mistake. So Parade, which the revival happened in 23, we did City Center in 22. And I played Jim Conley in college. And so when I saw that they were doing Parade at City Center, I was like, Michael Arden, I will sweep the floor. I would love to, be seen for Jim, but here's my tape.
Yeah.
Didn't hear anything for like 3-4 months. And then he was like, hey, loved your work. Casting is very specific. Let's hop on a Zoom and just catch up. And on that call, and I had told him, I was like, I know there's a feature. As long as it's a feature, I'll do it. Hopped on Zoom and he was like, would you be Riley? And I was like, yes, I'll be.
Yeah.
2 strikes happened in the spring. So I strategically, going back to our conversation of priority, I took Parade on Broadway after a lot of contemplation because I knew writing-wise the industry would be shut down.
Yeah.
That was a strategic move.
Mm.
But if my ego had said I'm Jim Conley on Broadway or not, I would have missed my blessing,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes boxes are what you're told you have to maintain in an industry that's constantly changing. So you were the principal, but you might have to be the standby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Gotta
lot
cook.
of pride, I think. There's a lot of pride with like once you get to a point being like, well, I'm not going to go back. And it's like, do you want the paycheck or not?
Mhm.
Do you want the paycheck? Do you want the job that could also be maybe you were here, but you need to go down here to then get here?
Yeah.
You're seen
Like,
in that
it's-
supporting thing that
yeah.
actually catapults you to the next
Yep.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, to work is to work
Yeah.
Mhm.
and to create and to be in the
Absolutely.
room.
Yeah.
You know, so I think boxes are sometimes placed on us by the industry,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to decide like if we want to be in it or not.
Mm.
But I it's not on them to decide; it's on us.
It's on us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Do you have any parting words or pieces of advice for anyone that you would something that you wish you would have known at 18 that you know now?
You don't know as much as you think you know, but you are as great as you should think you are.
Okay.
Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
like
Actually,
that.
yeah.
I like
You
that.
are as great as you should think you are at that moment. So
Yeah.
own
Love
that.
that.
Own that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Own where you are. You don't know it all, but like you're good. You're actually
Yeah.
really good, and you just can't see it.
Mm.
That's the thing.
And do you have any books that were life-changing for you? Do you have any like
I'm more of an audio person.
Okay.
I'm excited to read. I haven't read it yet, but I've been following the press tour of Tina Knowles
Okay.
and Matriarch
I can't wait.
because
Okay.
of her intentionality of why she created the book. Because she lost her mother at 26, and I think she didn't meet her grandmother. So she created this book to create all these stories for her grandkids to look for answers when they like can't ask her questions because she's gone. That to me, I was like, that is intentional and that is special. So I've already
So
downloaded.
powerful.
I also listened to RuPaul's book, which I thought was fascinating.
Ooh.
Okay.
That some of these people are named. I mean, Beyonce, that was her name at birth. RuPaul was his name at birth, and his mother told him he was going to be a star.
Wow.
RuPaul's name was RuPaul at
RuPaul
birth.
at birth.
Wow.
How did I not know this?
At birth.
Wow.
You got to read the book.
I have to read that book.
Damn.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh. Adding
Yeah.
that to the list.
Put it on the
Both of those.
list.
I'm really, really, really excited for Tina Knowles' book.
I've literally been following the press tour.
Oh, I can't wait.
obsessed.
Okay.
We're gonna do
So
our.
we end with rapid fires.
Oh God.
So it is time. The time has come.
The
for a
time has
I
come.
don't know all the things. Oh geez.
No, you're gonna be great. It's gonna be great. Okay, here we
You
go.
ready?
3, 2, 1.
Atlantic or Pacific Ocean?
Atlantic.
What does DNA stand for?
Oh my God. Destiny Natural Ass.
Absolutely, absolutely. Winter cabin or summer beach house?
Summer Beach House.
What's the tallest mountain in the world?
Mount Everest.
Who's on the penny?
A white man.
Yeah. Correct.
Indeed.
Correct.
Favorite cocktail?
Saint Germain vodka martini with a twist. Straight up.
I'll do it.
Get into
I'll do
it.
after
Make it
we're
for
done.
us. Thank
Gag it.
you. Okay, fill in the blank. Old Red Hills of.
Homo.
Would you rather perform naked in front of a whole audience or have to wear a full snowsuit with mittens and a hat on the beach in 100-degree weather?
Naked.
Okay. What is 4 times 4?
Oh, 16.
Kill, fuck, marry. Laptop, typewriter, pen and paper.
Marry laptop. Kill typewriter. What was the third one?
Pen and paper.
Fuck it.
Pen and
Yeah,
paper.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Good job. I thought you were going to be all romantic about the typewriter being like, marry the typewriter.
No.
You're like,
Fuck
I
my
have 10 lines.
computer.
Yeah, I gotta
Typewriter.
type this thing.
I got to get it done.
Yeah.
Listen, he's a business-forward man.
Yes, exactly.
Surely
You
am.
better kill that typewriter.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
This was
Douglas, that was so delightful.
Oh, thank you. I'm such a fan. This is the best
Oh.
podcast. I literally have been listening
So
for months.
sweet.
I've reached out to you like a couple times.
I know
being
you
like,
have.
This is the best.
So much to me.
This was really like I'm super excited for getting your words out to
Yeah.
people
Oh,
too.
thank
This
you.
was like
Thank you.
really helpful for me to hear a lot of what you said today.
Thank you for
Wow.
having
Well,
me.
yeah.
Where can listeners follow you?
I am Douglas Sings on Twitter and Chocolate Hipster on Instagram.
Boom.
Wait.
Amazing.
Hell yeah.
And when are the Outer Critics Circle awards happening?
The announcement is the 12th.
Okay.
Something's on the 23rd. I don't know. I honestly am like,
Okay, we're gonna have our
try
fingers
not to.
crossed for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like
Exciting.
the nomination is the gift.
It is.
Honestly,
Yeah.
It is indeed.
No,
It's
it is.
so political.
recognizing your work.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm just grateful to be remembered because we were so early in the season.
Well, congratulations.
Gorgeous.
It's so exciting.
So fun.
Thank you for taking the time to be here.
Yes.
We adore you.
Thank you guys for listening and watching. Give us a like and a follow and a subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.
Hey, bye everybody.
Bye.